Today on Inquirer. Almost a year into office, President Bongbong Marcos gives himself an incomplete grade.
There are many things that we still need to do.
Phivolcs records Phreatic burst at Taal volcano. 17 people injured after an explosion in a Korean restaurant in Oriental Mindoro. Debris from submersible that imploded while on voyage to Titanic wreck returned to shore. Presumed human remains recovered. Almost 1 year into office, President Bongbong Marcos says there's much more that needs to be done, agreeing with an economist who had said he has an incomplete grade. Jean Mangaluz has the report.
Nearly 1 year into office, President Bongbong Marcos said that there's much more that needs to be done. During an ambush interview in Parañaque City, the president agreed with an economist who had given him an incomplete grade.
I saw a report earlier this morning where one of the economists said the grade that I will give the president for agriculture is incomplete. I agree with you. We are not doing that. I'm done with what I'm doing. There are many things that we still need to do.
Marcos pointed to the dismal state of the agricultural sector, saying that there's up to 40 years of neglect. The president said that the country is beginning to see the systemic changes that are going to be part of the new bureaucracy.
We have to undo 30, 35, almost 40 years of neglect when it comes to the agricultural sector. And the agricultural sector still occupies the most fundamental part of our economy.
However, he said that there's still a long way to go. Marcos also said that the government has been trying to control inflation. Current efforts are not enough, and Marcos believes that whatever his administration has managed to do, there'll still be more that needs to be done. According to Marcos, the world sees the Philippines differently now. Investors who plan to invest in the Association of Southeast Asian Nations are advised to invest in the Philippines. This is Jean Mangaluz reporting for INQUIRER.net.
President Bongbong Marcos says the government is still exploring options for housing Afghans displaced by their country's turmoil, disputing speculations of an agreement with the United States. According to Marcos, the Philippines has a long history of accepting refugees, but the U.S.'s request for the Philippines to temporarily take in Afghan people is unprecedented.
There are many issues involved in that question. That's why I was a little surprised when I saw some of the news reports. There is a deal between the U.S. There's no deal. We're still looking exactly at how to make it work if we can. It's entirely possible that we will not find a way to make it happen.
Marcos reiterates that the Afghan nationals are not refugees but must be resettled in the U.S. The Philippines will only serve as the transition area. The president admits that being a transition area may pose security issues and legal and logistical problems, so the government will continue to look into it.
They are Afghans who are being resettled primarily in the United States. And we are going to be the third country. That is the proposal of the Americans. We'll continue to study it and see if there's a way we can do it without endangering the security of the Philippines.
8 co-accused in the case of fugitive former Bureau of Corrections Director General Gerald Bantag have been sentenced to imprisonment after pleading guilty to their involvement in the death of Bilibid inmate June Villamor. Villamor was allegedly the one who asked someone to contact Joel Escorial, the self-confessed gunman in the killing of broadcaster Percy Lapid. Villamor was suffocated to death using a plastic bag, allegedly by fellow convicts. In a 7-page order dated June 27, Presiding Judge Hener Guito of Muntinlupa Regional Trial Court, Branch 206, imposed an indeterminate penalty of 6 years and 1 day as minimum to 14 years, 8 months, and 1 day as maximum imprisonment to the co-accused. They are Mario Alvarez, Christian Ramac, Ricky Salgado, Ronnie De La Cruz, and Joel Reyes. In the same ruling, the court instructed Alvarez, Ramac, Salgado, De La Cruz, and Reyes to pay the family of the victim the amount of 75,000 pesos as civil indemnity, 75,000 pesos as moral damages, and 75,000 pesos as exemplary damages. On the other hand, the court also imposed an indeterminate penalty of 2 years, 4 months, and 1 day as minimum to 8 years and 1 day as maximum imprisonment to 3 other respondents. They are Alvin Labra, Aldrin Galicia, and Joseph Giorfo, who are all already serving prison sentences for separate offenses. The court also told the three to pay the victim's family 50,000 pesos as civil indemnity, 50,000 pesos as moral damages, and 50,000 pesos as exemplary damages. Since the co-accused Bantag and his former deputy Ricardo Zulueta remain at large, Guito says that the case has been sent to the archive subject to revival upon the arrest of said accused. The Philippine Institute of Volcanology and Seismology records a phreatic burst in Taal volcano, which remains under alert level 1. According to Phivolcs, the phreatic burst occurred at 12:54 p.m. on Thursday and lasted until 12:56 p.m. While white plumes from the volcano reached a height of 250 meters and drifted southwest. State volcanologists clarified that the Taal is still under alert level 1, which means there is a low level of volcanic unrest. The Philippine Institute of Volcanology and Seismology records a decrease in Mayon Volcano's activities, including rockfall events and sulfur dioxide flux. From 5 a.m. of June 28 to 5 a.m. of June 29, Phivolcs logged 296 rockfall events and 595 metric tons of sulfur dioxide flux emission. This is less than what was recorded from 5 a.m. of June 27 to 5 a.m. of June 28, with 372 rockfall events and 964 metric tons of sulfur dioxide flux emission from the volcano. Only one volcanic earthquake was recorded by Phivolcs from 5 a.m. on June 28 to 5 a.m. on June 29. Meanwhile, the National Disaster Risk Reduction and Management Council says more than 41,000 residents within the Bicol region have been affected by Mayon's continuous volcanic activity as of Thursday. According to NDRRMC, this is equivalent to over 10,000 affected families. Mayon's unrest has also displaced at least 20,000 residents from 26 barangays within the Bicol region. Mayon Volcano has been under alert level 3 since June 8, with the unrest seen to last for a few months based on the volcano monitor's observations. Quoting Chinese Ambassador Wang Shilian, former President Rodrigo Duterte says the Philippines could be a target for providing places, quote, where there can be an aggression to China. Duterte, who said he had regular meetings with Wang, made this revelation on Monday in his television program. Duterte recalled his conversation with Wang, saying he reminded him that the Philippines does not have a quarrel with China. But according to Duterte, Wang replied that the Philippines could always be a target if the country provides places where there can be an aggression to China. The ambassador was alluding to the Enhanced Defense Cooperation Agreement, or EDCA sites. Under EDCA, U.S. forces are allowed to rotate through Philippine military bases. The Southern Police District says a bus conductor died and 13 others were injured in a collision between a private Isuzu truck and a public utility bus along C5 Road in Taguig early Thursday morning. The accident occurred around 4:30 a.m. on the southbound lane of C5 and near the Heritage U-turn slot in Barangay Western Bicutan in Taguig. Initial investigation showed that before the accident, the truck driver was maneuvering to the left at the Heritage U-turn slot while the PUB was driving straight at the second lane. Police Chief Master Sergeant Antonio Zinampan says the bus driver did not notice the truck's presence, leading to a collision. According to Zinampan, this led to the death of the bus conductor, Arnel Aquino. Police say at least 17 people were injured after an explosion occurred in a Korean restaurant at a shopping center in Oriental Mindoro on Thursday morning. Police Regional Office in Mimaropa says the blast occurred around 10:20 a.m. in a mall in Barangay Lumang Bayan, Calapan City. The explosion was reportedly due to a gas leak. Authorities say 4 restaurant crew, a delivery man, and several customers were hurt. 12 vehicles were also damaged from the blast. Following the incident, PRO Mimaropa activated its incident command post in coordination with other law enforcement agencies and units to attend to public safety. The Philippine Coast Guard says it has terminated the search and rescue operations for the remaining 6 missing crew members of a fishing boat that sank off Davao Oriental last week. Fishing vessel Genesis 2 was battered by big waves and sank shortly after midnight on June 22 in the waters of Baganga, Davao Oriental. In an advisory, the PCG says the Coast Guard District Southeastern Mindanao decided to terminate the search and rescue operations on Thursday, 7 days after the maritime accident. It adds that the said PCG district will continue to alert transiting vessels for possible sightings of the 6 missing crew members. According to PCG, a survivor of the boat said that the 6 missing crew members might still be trapped inside the said ship. The PCG says it had rescued 14 crew members and recovered 3 bodies. The U.S. Coast Guard says presumed human remains and debris from the tourist submersible that imploded and killed all 5 people aboard were recovered and brought ashore to Canada. The possible remains and shattered bits of the submersible Titan were carried to St. John's, Newfoundland in Canada, about 650 kilometers north of the accident site. The evidence will be transported by a Coast Guard cutter to a U.S. port for analysis and testing by a Maritime Board of Investigation. The Coast Guard adds that U.S. medical professionals will conduct a formal analysis of presumed human remains. The nature and extent of the possible remains recovered from the site were not specified. Examination of the debris is expected to shed more light on the cause of the catastrophic implosion that shattered the Titan earlier this month, as the vessel carried 5 people on a voyage to the Titanic shipwreck. Alamin naman natin ang mainit na balita sa mundo ng showbiz kasama si Irvin Santiago ng Bandera. Irvin?
Hi Neil at sa lahat ng mga kabandera natin all over the universe. Ito na nga ang latest Bandera Chika. In fairness, mula nang manalo siyang Best Supporting Actress sa first Summer Metro Manila Film Festival para sa pelikulang Here Comes the Groom, ay nagsunod-sunod na nga ang bonggang projects ni Kalad Karen. Isa na nga riyan ang pagpirma niya ng kontrata sa talent management arm ng ABS-CBN na Star Magic na nasaksihan namin at ng iba pang miyembro ng entertainment media. Naging emosyonal pa nga si Kalad Karen o Jervily sa tunay na buhay habang nagbibigay ng kanyang mensahe bilang isang certified Star Magic artist. Matapos gumawa ng history bilang first ever trans woman na nagwaging Best Supporting Actress sa Summer MMFF, hindi na nga mapigilan ang pagbongga ng kanyang TV at movie career. Sabi ng impersonator ng veteran broadcast journalist na si Karen Davila, hindi niya inakalang mararating niya ang estado na kinalalagyan niya ngayon. Kaya naman todo ang pasasalamat niya sa lahat ng taong nagmamahal at nagtitiwala sa kanya. At bilang bahagi na ngayon ng Star Magic, mas magiging busy pa si Kalad Karen sa mga susunod na buwan dahil sa mga naka-line up niyang projects. Bukod sa pagiging segment host sa isang news program ng TV5, ay gagawa rin siya ng teleserye at pelikula. May gagawin din daw siyang isang reality show very soon. Natanong namin si Kalad Karen kung sino-sino sa mga local male celebrities ang gusto niyang makapartner.
Yung mga kaidaran ko siguro sila Gerald Anderson, Sancho Marudo, mga ganyan.
Yung Tony na Bruce ka, Angel Aquino, pwede rin naman yun.
Parang hindi ko kaya yung gawin yun. Kasi may bunso kami, 21 years old, na lalaki. So parang awkward. Kasi may kapatid akong 21 years old. Pero yun, sana mabigyan tayo ng opportunity. Lalo na yung best actors natin, sila Jake Cuenca, of course, Sancho Marudo. Siguro Joshua pwede na.
Ayun, Joshua Garcia.
Yan, pwede, Joshua. Tsaka nakita ko kung anong ginawa niya kay Ate Jody Mazar.
Ay, gusto mo rin yun?
Break my heart eh.
Nakahigop scene, Karen.
Parang kaya kong lumaban.
Ay,
sa higupan. Parang gano'n. Masaya naman. Tsaka actor talaga si Joshua. Feeling ko kung makakapartner ko siya, maso-challenge din ako bilang isang actress sa laban kong laban.
At yan ang Bandera Chika natin today. Thanks, Neil.
Maraming salamat, Irvin, and these are the stories you need to know today. I'm Neil Mercado. Follow INQUIRER.net on Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, TikTok, Instagram, and Reddit. For more stories, visit INQUIRER.net. Good evening.